Okay, so hey, 2 videos in one night. That may be a record for me and may never happen again. But yes, I wanted, while I had the time and the chance and the opportunity, I wanted to make that video on my life with panic attacks, panic disorder, whatever in the world you want to call it. And kind of explain my symptoms a little bit and kind of explain from start to finish kind of what I've gone through. And it is such a long story that there's probably going to be things left out, and there might be symptoms left out. You name it, I probably had that symptom. For instance, a new one is my left arm is going weak and numb. And doctors say it's normal. Whatever. So anyway, let's get started. So basically, I've always been kind of a worrisome, anxious person. When I was 14 all the way up until I was 19, I was actually anorexic. Can you believe that? I got down to 83 pounds. I may have mentioned this already, but in case you forgot or, whatever, wanted to know. So yeah, I got down to 83 pounds, and the only thing that got me out of it really was I went to the doctor, and basically it was be hospitalized or gain some weight, because I had dropped to a point where basically I was being threatened to feeding tube. So needless to say, it got really, really bad. And how I ended up like this, I'll never know. But anyway, yeah, so I ended up gaining weight. I stayed at a very healthy weight for a couple of years, up until I was about 21. 21, it fell to the ground, pretty much. I gained I was up, I want to say, to about 140, 145, which isn't bad. I would love to be back at that weight. And I'd be perfectly fine if that's the weight I stayed at for the rest of my life. Heck, 150 would be good. 160 even would be fine with me, really. But yeah, so I got to about 145, 150. Had a boyfriend at the time, and he went to Iraq. And that was my first real loss of love, if you want to call it. I don't know really how to describe it. So that I took that extremely hard. And right around the time that he was actually coming back from Iraq, I started getting all these feelings again, because we had broken up, I think, like 8 months before he ended up coming back to the States. So I was going through a lot of anxiety then, but I never had a panic attack in my life. And so right around the time he comes around home, or it may have been a couple months after, it was in 2010, so it was 2 years ago. I don't really remember, because so much has happened since then. I was at work, and all of a sudden I just felt, I was standing up, and I felt really, really lightheaded, and I worked at a spa. Go figure, have a panic attack of all places at a spa, one of the most relaxing places. So that's just my luck. But anyway, I was standing up about to get a water for a client, and I just felt like I was going to fall through the floor. Well, then I started being able to not be able to breathe, and I was like, ooh, what is going on here? So I told my boss, I was like, I just don't feel right. And I thought, well, maybe it's my sugar dropped, because diabetes runs in my family, and I'd never been checked, but more than likely, going on the path I am, I could potentially get it, or whatever. So I ended up sitting down, eating a little bit. I didn't feel right, and I kept yawning to catch my breath, and I could not catch my breath to save my life. And I started kind of freaking out, and I was like, this isn't right. I ended up leaving for like a lunch break and went around walking outside to see if I could kind of calm myself down or catch my breath or whatever. I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I'm not breathing. It just felt like I was kind of gonna lose my breath and then pass out or something. So I ended up leaving work to go home, because it was the worst feeling in the world, not feeling like you can breathe. I mean, we live by breathing, and when you feel like you can't breathe, you feel like you're about to die. You know, it kind of is that exaggerative. So I was on my way home, and there's a bridge right before you get to like this gas alley. It's like where there's a bunch of gas stations, and I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, there's a lot of country and a lot of fields and a lot of whatever. So needless to say, this was like the only place that there was like habitation, you know, that I was on my way to home. So thankfully, this is where my panic attack happened. Otherwise, I would have been stranded with no cell phone reception, and who knows what would have happened then. I really don't want to know. But right as I crossed the bridge, I got this feeling in my chest as if someone shot adrenaline into me. Now, that may not sound so bad, but when you're getting this out of the blue adrenaline, and it's like, it makes you go, like to where you lose your breath, it is the freakiest feeling in the whole entire world. It felt like my heart was stopping. My hearing started to go. It felt like I was going to pass out. I felt like I was going in and out, and I was like, okay, I got to get somewhere fast, so if I pass out, at least they can call 911. So I ran into, of all places, a tobacco outlet. There was gas stations, and there was a tobacco outlet, and that's where I ran to. And what's the funny thing about this is that there was a lady, and she had a dog. It was really no laughing matter at the time, but I can laugh now. And I can remember thinking, immediately when I went in, I said, call 911, I can't breathe, and I'm about to pass out. So that's what she did. And she's holding her little dog. It was like some kind of chihuahua or something. I really don't know. It was really tiny. And I was like trying to get my mind off of passing out so I wouldn't pass out. And I was like, that's a really cute dog. It was just, like I was just flipping. And I was pacing back and forth. Like I could not, I felt like if I stopped, I was going to pass out. Like I felt like if I just stopped moving, I was going to pass out. And these waves of adrenaline, I guess that's what it is, are like just kicking in, and it's wave after wave after wave. And it felt like it took forever for the ambulance to get there. A rescue squad ended up getting there first and taking all my vitals. They checked, I think they even checked my sugar. I don't really know. I was so out of it at the time that I was just ready to get to the hospital and be in the eyes of a doctor. Because, I mean, at that point, I never had anything like this happen to me. I was healthy. I was not that overweight, you know. I really wasn't overweight at all. 150, it's fine. I was 21 at the time. You know, I was young. I was too young to have a heart attack. So, it was just really freaky. So, anyway, my blood pressure was like 180 over 110. Like, it was insane high. My respiratory rate was really high. My heart rate was like 130s, and it was staying up there, but it would kind of go down and it would go right back up, and it was just really weird. So I get to the hospital for that panic attack, and basically he's like, you could have SVT, which is a form of an arrhythmia, when basically you have just your pacemaker of your heart, your SA node, just triggers and keeps triggering, like something that's out of sync. Like almost every time I think about it, I think about like a CD skipping, and like it just, you have to knock it back on track. Like it just keeps going. And that kind of, I had the heart palpitations. I had shortness of breath, dizziness. I just had all symptoms you can possibly name of what a heart attack might possibly be like. The only thing I didn't get is chest pains with that one. I didn't really have that. I actually have chest pains when I'm not having an attack, which is kind of bizarre. But so yeah, so that panic attack left. He wanted to put me on a Holter monitor, which is a 24-hour monitor, you know, to make sure that I didn't have SVT. But the only thing with that is you have to catch an attack on the monitor, otherwise you basically could get misdiagnosed. I ended up, they didn't have a monitor available, so I ended up having to wait. So they just sent me home with nothing.